Hey y'all, it's Neo. Just a quick message before the video. First, I want to thank you for being here in my energy, and I'm grateful to be in yours. And also, I want you to make sure that you go into this video with an open mind, open heart. Be willing to accept things as one with yourself. And don't necessarily look at things as if they are outside of you, because everything starts internally. I'll meet you back at the end of the video. Enjoy! If you never checked out this movie, please do it. It is a great one when it comes to explaining and imagining the elements. Alright, we're about to jump into it. You have your 4 basic elements. You have water, fire, air, and earth. And then you have us, the 5th element, right here in the middle. This is a little diagram that I drew to kind of help you better understand. So we're going to start off with our first element, which is fire. Fire describes our light energy or our life force energy. Think about it. You are here as a miniature sun, meaning that you are a miniature fireball. So you originated as a fireball, that being your first element that you came in contact with. It is associated with the season of summer. This is the season that the sun is at its highest point in the sky, as well as when your ego or your sun is at its prime in your birth plan or in your personal calendar. In the zodiac, fire is associated with the houses of life, as well as the sign Aries, the sign Leo, and the sign Sagittarius. Personally, I associate the element fire with the planets the Sun, Mars, and Pluto. While many people look at fire to be destructive, I look at fire as an opportunity to rebuild, an opportunity to rebirth, because once something has been burned, it goes then into ashes. After ashes, you can then create anything from that. Ashes is literally like dirt, hence the beginning of life form. Now we're going to move on to the second element, earth. Earth is all about being grounded, as well as containing knowledge, gaining stability, and sending out the love frequency. Think about it. Earth is typically associated with the color green. Green is associated with love. In order to truly make it somewhere on this plane, you have to utilize love frequency, which is what Earth is all about. It is about the nurturing, it is about the growing, and it is about building and the wealth of life, which is why it is associated with the houses of wealth in the zodiac, as well as the signs Taurus, Capricorn, and Virgo. It is dealing with the season of spring, because that is when everything is coming to fruition. It is growing, it is becoming fruitful, which is the prosperous energy that Earth likes. After you transition to becoming a spiritual ball of fire on this plane, you are dropped here on Earth. This is where you take your form as a loving being. Next, we're going to move on to air. Now, I associate air with the planet of Mercury and the planet of Uranus, because those are associated with communion, thoughts, and communication. Anything dealing with commune at the beginning, that's air all day long. I mean, think about it. Our ancestors and gods communicate with us through the breath of life, which is air. We communicate with each other through the breath of life, as well as communicating with nature. Air energy deals with thoughts as well, because your thoughts are abstract. They are ideas. They are not tangible. The air element is associated with the house of relationships, as well as the signs Libra, Gemini, and Aquarius. Most exchanges take place within the air, which is why it deals with communion, which is the ability to share or receive information. Once you become a breathing earthly being, you then have to learn how to communicate not only with nature, not only with your guides that are spiritual, but also with the people in the different universes in this plane, bringing in that air element. And lastly, of the 4, we have the water element. This is my favorite element. Water is associated with emotions as well as cleansing energy, because after all, emotions are simply just energy that you have put in motion to serve a purpose. Water also deals with flow, and remember that we are made up of 75% water. So it plays a major role in our being, and also how we connect with the cosmos or the spiritual realm. Water is associated with the house of endings, as well as the signs Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. Just before a new season is getting ready to take place, water sweeps in as winter, the season of endings. As your life ended once you became a fireball, then you gained your energy to come with the dirt, the skin, the flesh. You now have the brain or the ideas to be able to think and operate as a vessel. Now you need the water to balance you out when it comes to your emotions. I mean, think about it. Once your life ends in the heavenly plane, you begin a new one on this earthly plane, coming through the amniotic fluid or the amniotic water of your mother, the first water that you touched as a fleshly physical being. And as above, so below, right? The waters that entrap this earthly plane over the firmament, you also have to escape in order to reach the heavenly realms. Water is the last element that you come in contact with before something is renewed and cleansed in order to bring about life to something else. This is why I associate the element water with Neptune and the moon, because both of these planets deal with the dream world, the imagination world, and also bringing about the emotions of this plane. Water also serves as a reminder that multiple forms of energy can exist in one place at one time. Think about it. Water can be a liquid, a solid, or a gas and still be water at the end of the day. You have a mind, a body, and a spirit, but you are still your being, your whole entire universe at the end of the day. Which brings me to the bonus, or the fifth element: plasma energy, etheric energy, dark matter energy. This element or this energy is a combination of all of the four, aka you. You have that fiery spirit within you. You have this earthly flesh. You have this mind that deals with communication, telepathy, and thoughts. And you also have the water that governs your emotional or your spiritual body on this plane. And can you also see how the symbols of the element correlate to make the 6-pointed? In order to truly understand everything outside of yourself, you must understand that those things correlate to you. We're going to start off with the planets. We have 7 major planets in our solar system. Now, these planets represent 7 aspects of ourselves that could be expressed, and I'm about to go through each of them. Now, this is somewhat what your solar system looks like. Instead of having the sun at the middle, we technically would have the earth at the center point, because the way that we study the planets on this plane are relative to our positioning. So keep that in mind. Of course, the first one that we're going to start with is the sun. The sun represents your character, your ego, and your reputation. This is the energy surrounding how you feel the earth views you. This will also be the first 52 days after your birthday. The sun is correlated with the element fire, the weekday Sunday, and our 365-day solar calendar. So it's safe to say that the sun plays a heavy influence in our actions and reactions on this plane. Step after the sun, we have now the moon is responsible for your feminine nature or for your magnetic aspect. It correlates to your emotional security, your ability to flow, because it controls the tidal waves of the ocean, and also the aspects of yourself that the world does not get to see. Just like the sun, the moon is actually relatively close to Earth, so it plays a major influence in us as well. Also, remember that we're composed of like 75% water, so the moon has a heavy influence on your body. The moon also is responsible for controlling the menstrual cycle of the womb man. as well as the male cycle that many people may not know about. The moon is also responsible for your second 52 days in your planetary cycle. This would be day 53 to day 104. Now the next planet we're going to be dealing with is good old Mars right here. Now Mars, or the red planet, is associated with passion, energy, rage, anger, war, all of it. Mars is that girl that you call when you need some energy, okay? Mars holds a significant place in our lives when it comes to putting forth the energy to be able to make our manifestations happen. Mars is also what fuels us and what drives us to continue to do the things that we need to do or get done. It is responsible for your third set of your 52 days in your planetary cycle, days 105 to 156. Next up is Mercury. To be such a great communicator, such a great thinker. That's the energy that Mercury holds. Mercury is all about communicating those thoughts and getting those ideas out there into the world, utilizing the energy of the four, or that is growing based off of energies that you already have. That's what your girl Mercury does. Mercury is actually a feminine and a masculine planet holding ties to both. Its feminine aspects come in with its ability to strategize and think, while its masculine energy comes in with the ability to communicate and listen. Mercury is responsible for days 157 to days 208 in your planetary cycle. Somebody pinch me because I'm feeling lucky, baby. We about to jump into Jupiter. Now, Jupiter is that planet that you want to call on when you need some manifestations to pull through, baby. Jupiter is all about gifts, abundance, and reparations. Basically, receiving the plants and the gardens and the fruits from the seeds that you have sown. That is the energy that Jupiter holds. It deals with expansion of self beyond the universe into the multiverse. Jupiter also deals with growth. So it's very important to note that when you're in your Jupiter season of your planetary cycle, things might pick up exponentially when it comes to the things that you are receiving, as well as the things that are allowing you to grow. This will be days 209 to 260 in your planetary cycle. Next, we have my girl Venus right here. Venus is the planet of love. And y'all know I love me some love. Venus is that girl that you call on when you want to get your home in order, when you want to get your values together when it comes to the relationships that you have with your significant other, with your family, and with your friends. Venus can get a little greedy sometimes, but that's only out of love. Venus is known to deal with your romantic feelings as well as how you care for your home. This is the aspect of your being that deals with your prosperity, counting how much you have so you can see how much you can give. She is responsible for days 261 to 312 of your planetary cycle. This is also a great time to check your fertile window and, create some babies. And last for the major 7, but definitely not least, Big Daddy Saturn. Now, Big Daddy Saturn right here, he don't play. He gets down. He's all about that discipline, that structure, and them boundaries, baby. Best believe, if you don't follow those boundaries that you have set within yourself as far as others and as far as the things that you are supposed to be doing, Saturn will tag you. Because Saturn is also the planet ruling karma. So when you don't do what you're supposed to do, Saturn's going to be right there with those rings, knocking at that door, saying, "Hey, baby, I got something for you." And that will be your karma. Saturn is the aspect of our being that is basically responsible for keeping us in check, keeping us ruled, keeping us grounded, and keeping us headstrong. It is represented by day 313 to 365 of your planetary cycle. Saturn is also known to be the guardian of the gates of God, because you have to go through all 7 of these aspects in order to leave your physical body, in order to expand beyond this universe and explore the multiverse. Now, a lot of you may be wondering, why did I mention that there was only 7 planets when we have Neptune, Pluto, and Uranus? That is a very good question. Now, this 7 right here is what you have to go to actually escape the universe or escape your solar system. Once you get to the higher vibrating planets, or your outer planets, if you will, They just become amplified versions of the planets that are within your solar system. These amplified versions of the 7 major planets aid to help us once we escape our universe. Once we get through their energies, you'll better understand. We're going to start with Uranus. Now, Uranus is just an amplified version of Mercury, meaning that it has a lot of the traits that Mercury has, but it has them on higher levels. Now, while Mercury is the planet dealing with communication and thought, Uranus deals with the energy of change. Because in order to really make a change on this plane, you have to utilize your thoughts, and your thoughts then communicate to become actions. Those actions are what makes things change. So Uranus deals with drastic or sudden change, revolutionary change, like protesting for a cause. That is right up Uranus's alley. With Uranus, change is like literally within the snap or a blink of an eye. Next, we have Neptune. Now, Neptune is an amplified version of Venus. And remember that Venus is the planet of love, the planet of fertility, and the planet of prosperity. Once you think about it in a more masculine term, Neptune is very fertile when it comes to the imagination portion of your prosperity. It deals with dreams, illusions, and imagination. Because before you can materialize something on this realm, or before you can have a love for something on this realm, you have to imagine the energy that is behind it. That is where Neptune comes in at. Your destiny, the things you want to accomplish, and where you want to go in life, as well as the illusions in this matrix and on this plane, deal with Neptune. And lastly, we have good old Pluto right here. Now, they tried to do Pluto wrong by taking it out the solar system, but we still gonna acknowledge it over here. Pluto is just the amplified version of Mars. Mars deals with passion, fire, energy, rage. And Pluto definitely is a miniature version of that. Pluto deals with power, orchestration, and transformation. Pluto in your being deals with your energy and how you utilize that energy to change the things that you want to change in your life. Pluto and Uranus also kind of work hand in hand, but Pluto alone is very powerful. Because when you want to change something, or when you want to make a transformation on this plane, you have to have the willpower to do so. You also have to have some kind of structure to be able to utilize the influence of that power. And that is all Pluto. Now you may be wondering, well, Neo, why didn't you mention Earth as a planet? I got you. So you know how I told you that the planets represent different aspects of your being, your universe? It's because Earth as a planet represents you. It's basically a collection of all of those energies existing on one plane, or in one body, if you will. Just like how you have a mind, a body, and a spirit all operating within one being, Earth, or Mother Gaia, or this plane that we exist on, has different aspects and different energies that make it up. This is also why I told you guys that any being can really exist on Earth, as long as they are on and matching the frequency of the planet or the plane. Now that we've discussed the energies of the planets, I want to tie them into some key things that you utilize in your day-to-day life. And if not, you might want to start. Right here we have your 7 major planets. Here we have your 7 major chakras, or energy centers. And then right here you have your days of the week. Let's run through it real quick. You have your sun correlating to your solar plexus and correlating to sun day. This is the day that you may feel most energized or most fluent within your ego, or the perception that the world has of you. You may feel inclined to do things that stimulate that part of you that feels powerful. Next, you have the moon, which is associated with your root or your lowest chakra, and it is associated with the weekday, moon day, or Monday. Dealing with this energy of this day or this chakra, you are dealing with the energy of groundedness, the energy of your flight or flight and your fears. On this day, you may be most emotional. The tensions may be high when it comes to your emotional body. And emotions are simply just energy in motion. How you feel to put that energy in motion. Next up is your planet Mars, which is the planet of war, sacrifice, passion, energy. This is tied to your sacral chakra and the weekday Tuesday. Now, when you're dealing with this energy, you may feel heightened in your sexual energy or your creative energy. Because Mars is the planet that rules energy, it rules your creativity because that is how you express your energy. Also correlating to your sexuality or how you feel. And I always told you a little tippy tip. Do not argue with nobody on Tuesday. Because Tuesday is ruled by Mars, the energy is hiding as well as the passion and as well as the rage. So you don't want to get yourself caught in something that you can't remove yourself out of. Next is Mercury, which correlates to your throat chakra in the weekday Wednesday. On this day or dealing with this chakra, you may feel more inclined to communicate your thoughts more, communicate how you feel, to deal with more people that are in like-minded, like energy spaces. Also, you may want to make a lot of connections, do a lot of networking and a lot of marketing, because that's what Mercury is all about, extending those relationships through communion or communication. We then have Jupiter, which is associated with your third eye chakra as well as Thursday. Now, when you're dealing with this energy center or this day, you are dealing with the energy of being able to see beyond the veil of the physicality, utilizing your lower energies or these lower chakras in order to build up enough energy or enough fluency to be able to see into the spiritual realm, see the unseen, the things that these physical reflectors or eyes cannot see. You may be a little bit more intuitive on these days, but this also correlates to your ability to expand because Jupiter is all about expansion. Meaning that once you take that veil off, once you remove these eyes and you are strictly thinking with this one or you are utilizing this one, you're able to expand yourself beyond your singular universe and expand into the multiverse or the collection of universes. We then have Venus, which is associated with your heart energy center or your heart chakra, as well as Friday. Now, when you're dealing with this energy or this day, you are dealing with the energy of romantic feeling. Your heart chakra is the bridge between your lower three chakras and your higher three chakras, meaning that love is the ultimate glue to build up energy and build up bonds. You may be more inclined to go out on dates, to participate in activities that make you feel loved, self-love, self-care. Because that is what Venus is all about. It's all about making everyone feel prosperous and loved. Then we have Saturn. Saturn is correlated to your crown chakra energy center or your Saturday or Saturn day. On this day or dealing with this energy center, you are going to be very much more inclined to gain knowledge. This is why Saturn day is the last day of the week. It is the last chakra or center that you have to go through before exiting this vessel. Saturn, Big Daddy Saturn, like I mentioned to y'all, does not play and does not get down when it comes to discipline and karma. You may be more inclined to do a lot of cleaning or a lot of things that get you back in balance. Because by being in balance, you are being disciplined in yourself enough to know when you are getting out of order. And your crown chakra or your crown energy center deals with knowing how to utilize your higher knowledge and apply it to what you are experiencing on this plane. Here's a visual. You have your root chakra, your sacral chakra, your solar plexus, your heart chakra, your throat chakra, your third eye chakra, and your crown chakra, or energy centers, whatever you prefer. Based off the order of these chakras, I'm going to give you the days of the week. You have Monday, you have Tuesday, you have Sunday, you have Friday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. When discussing the planets, we have the moon, we have Mars, we have the sun, we have Venus, we have Mercury, Jupiter, and Saturn. And once you go through Saturn, you go through the gates of God. Or you transition from being just an ordinary human on this plane to now becoming a god and stepping into the multiverse. stepping into your ability to be able to control your universe and alter the universes around it. That's all that it means. Because God energy is simply just generator, operator, and destroyer energy. And once you realize your capabilities and what you can do utilizing those superpowers, you hold that God energy. Or as I like to call it, the all-purpose flower energy. So what is this? What does this mean? Have you ever heard the saying, the sun rises in the east and sets in the west? Does this look like a compass to you? Does it also look like a cross? This symbol or this diagram is basically a representation of the path that the sun travels each year. Now you have this full 360-degree cycle or circle with 4 distinct points on that circle. These 4 distinct points represent the directions east, west, north, and south, as well as the seasons winter, spring, summer, and fall. Now beginning right here, this will be the start point of the sun, you, and how the sun travels through each of these zodiacs as well as each of these seasons, relative to the positioning of the person on earth. So we would start in the season of spring, we would then travel to the season of summer, going into fall, and all the way through winter or the death of the sun. This is in Christianity where you get the Son of God was crucified on the cross. This is the cross that he was crucified on, as the sun crossed this point of the winter solstice. Now a solstice basically just means that this is when the sun is either at its highest or at its lowest point. Summer being the highest point, winter being the lowest. You also have 2 equinoxes. Now these equinoxes are when the sun is equal to the equator line of the earth, basically at its halfway point, going from a low to a high point in the spring equinox and going from a high to a low point in the fall equinox. Now the whole crucifying on the cross thing, the winter solstice happens on December 21st or the 22nd. It stays at this low point for 3 days. This is known as the death of the sun, when it goes into the underworld and it essentially has to rise back up. Jesus going into the tomb for 3 days and then having to rise back up. On December 25th, which is known as Christ's birthday or birth of the sun, getting ready to return to its highest point. The raising of the Kundalini energy. All of it is representative of the same thing. Now back to this. This 360-degree circle can be broken up into 12 parts. And if you're familiar with the 12 disciples in religion, you'll kind of get to see where I'm going with this. The 12 disciples or the 12 disciplines or the 12 decans or decans, like what you have in a church, all represent the 12 zodiac or the 12 major gods and goddesses of ancient Kemet. This is where we're going to jump into our zodiac or Kemetic gods and goddesses. These 12 portions of that 360-degree circle or 12 hours represent the times at which the sun passes through each of these signs, literally and figuratively. Meaning when the physical sun passes through these signs, but the sun that's inside of you passes through these signs as well. Did you also notice that this looks like a clock, representing the endless cycle of life? Now jumping into the zodiac, I want you to keep a couple of things in mind. Each season and element have 3 zodiac signs assigned to them, meaning that the 12 zodiac signs are actually broken down into 4 parts with 3 signs in each. There is always a movement of 3s and 4s in the universe. 3 times 4 is 12. Just like 3 plus 4 is 7. 7 being the number of completion. 3 equals the opening of a cycle. 4 equals the closing. And in order to keep this simple, I want you to look at the zodiacs as if this is the stages of you transforming as a person. And just like you as a person go through different stages where you are initiating, you are operating, and you are ending or waiting for a transitionary period, the zodiac does as well. Just like the zodiacs are divided into 4 based on their element or their season, they also can be divided into 3 based on the energy that they utilize. With Aries. Now, Aries is represented by the element of fire and the season of spring. It is the first of the zodiacs, and it represents I am. You having the realization that of who you are and what you are meant to do. It is giving leadership energy. And Aries is also associated with the Kemetic god Asar or Aman, the unseen, the unspoken that comes about after a transitionary period. Aman represents the rising star, the star that came from the underworld. Same as Aries, representing you realizing who you are after a new cycle, after a transition. Next, we have Taurus, representing the second zodiac. Taurus is an earth sign, also in the season of spring. It represents I have, the energy of having, the energy of knowing that you are what you are and you have what you have. It is represented by the goddess Het Heru, who is the goddess of fertility. To be fertile in something means to be fruitful and to have a lot of it. This is why Tauruses are associated with being the bull-headed one, the hard-headed one, because they are always focused on what they have. That is what that energy represents. Next, we have Gemini, or I think. This is your ability to recognize that you are you have what you have, and now you have to think about these things and how they interact. It represents the 3 or the Trinity energy. It is also assigned to the Kemetic god Tehuti, which is the god of script or keeping record, which is why Gemini is always associated with communication or think, the duality of everything. When you think of Gemini, think of that little angel that sits on your shoulder and the devil, and how they go back and forth about the same thing. That is how your thoughts work, going back and forth until you come up with a solution or a conclusion. Next, we're going into Cancer. And no, I'm not talking about the cancer that's in your body, but I'm definitely talking about the cancer that's in them emotions, because Cancer is all about I feel. Once you think about something, you have to then determine how you feel about it, right? So this is going through the stage of, after I have created this thought, how do I feel about this thought? Represented by the goddess Net-Het, or the goddess of the home. She is associated with homemaking, or getting your house, your body, your vessel in order, getting your emotional body in order. Cancer is associated also with bringing in the season of summer. She is a water sign. Next, we have Leo, the fierce, couragely lion. Leo is a fire sign, of course, and is represented by the Kemetic god Heru, or the god of divine will, creativity. I create. Leos are all about creating. Leo is all about the energy of having the will to do so with those thoughts, those feelings, those possessions, and who you are. Leo is also the sign where the sun is at its highest point in the sky. When your ego is at its highest point and you feel like you can create or do anything. This is also a great time to initiate a lot of things, because this is a good transitionary period. Moving on into Virgo. I analyze. Virgo is all about being analytical as well as being a maiden to other. Virgo looks to see how they can improve in others' lives as well as how they can improve in their own lives. It is represented by the Kemetic god Geb, or the god of earth. Geb provides stability and groundedness here on this earthly plane, just like Virgo. always analyzing and taking notice in patterns, just like how nature takes notice in patterns. Virgo is an earth sign, and it is also the last sign of the summer, shifting into the fall. Next, we have Libra. Libra means I unite, I balance, I create harmony, represented by the Kemetic goddess of motherhood, Set. Libras are all about building and putting things back together when there is disarray or chaos. After you've analyzed everything that is either going wrong or going right in your existence, you then have to unite together those ideas or those creations and make them work for you. This is why Libra is the beginning of the fall season or the harvest season. This is a period in which you are reaping the seeds from which you have sown. Set also symbolizes the divine feminine bringing together everything, which is why Libra sits on the other half of the zodiac. This is when the sun is beginning to transition into its darkest or its lowest phases, the underworld, if you will. Libra is also an air sign, so she is really good at communicating and getting people together in order to bring and really balance things out. Next, we have Scorpio. Scorpio is I desire. I finally united everything together after I've created it, after I went through all of these emotions and all of these things within my being, and now I'm starting to work on the things outside of myself. Now I see the things that I desire. I see the things that I want. Scorpio's energy is like the scorpion. It stings when it feels threatened. When your desires or your wants feel threatened, what do? You change or you shift in order to generate whatever you need to generate to have them fulfilled or to keep them from being tarnished. This is why Scorpio is represented by the Kemetic god Anubis or Anpu, the god of protection. Anubis is a jackal, which is a dog. And y'all know you're not finna play with no dog, especially the things that they have or that they desire. Scorpio is also the halfway point of the fall season. Next, we have Sagittarius. Sagittarius is the bow and arrow. I seek. I found my desires. I found what it is that would create unity and balance within myself. And so now it's time for me to go out and seek it, go out and find it and see it. This is represented by the goddess Sekhmet, or the goddess of power. Sekhmet is a very powerful goddess, but yet she also knows how to usher in that feminine energy. The nurturing, the caring, the loving, the homemaking. But don't think for once you're going to cross her. It gives very much mother bear energy. And Sagittariuses are real philosophical about the things that they seek. They're real protective over the things that they come across and that give them inspiration. Sagittarius is a fire sign, and it is the last sign of the fall season, shifting into the winter, or shifting into the point where the sun is about to pass away and transition into a new phase or a new sun. Next, there's Capricorn. Capricorn is the 10th sign, and it represents I use. How do you utilize things? How do you utilize your knowledge, your intellect? How do you utilize the things that are given to you as well as the things that come from you? Capricorns represent the Kemetic god of chaos, Set. And if you know the story of Asar, Set, and Horus, you know that Set was very chaotic. And that's what happens when the sun goes into the underworld or goes into its winter point. Things become chaotic because they are dying. They are transitioning into a death phase in order to renew and rebirth. Which is why Capricorn is all about how to utilize this transitionary phase to bring about newness. Capricorn is an earth sign, and it is the first sign of the winter season. This is also the sign where the winter solstice takes place, the death of the sun. So in Capricorn season, things are very slow, but it's all about how you utilize that time or that energy. Next is Aquarius. Aquariuses actually are perceived to be water signs because Aquarius deals with water, but what it actually means is being the water bearer or the water bringer, bringing information because water holds knowledge. So Aquarius is definitely an air sign, and it represents I know. Air signs are all about communion, thought, and conversation. So what do you know? This is why Aquariuses are known to be humanitarians. Because at this point in your vessel, in your being, in your stages of life, you've gone through the wind. You've sought out everything you need to seek, and you've learned how to use it. So now you're stepping into the phase where I know what I know. This is why Aquariuses are known to be really judgmental, leading to represent the goddess of Ma'at, or the goddess of balance and judgment. The story about the weighing of the heart against the feather, or what they consider in Christianity Judgment Day, that just is symbolizing the sun going into Aquarius, or going into the sign of judgment. Ma'at represents judgment, represents balance. When you are in Ma'at, you are in harmony with yourself, and you are in harmony with nature. You are in harmony with the universe and the multiverse around you. And in order to really thrive, you have to know your position. You have to know what it is that you have gone through in order to move to that next point. That's the energy of Aquarius. It is in the middle of the winter phase. And after that comes Pisces, the last of the bunch. Pisces represents the energy of I believe. I've gone through all of these different things, and I've gathered everything that I need to gather. I know what I know. I've experienced it. I've lived it. I loved it. I felt it. I thought it. I am it. And now I believe that. That is the energy of Pisces. Pisces is a water sign. And remember, water is the last element. Water is the element that you go through when you're going through an ending. Because once you believe what you believe, there is no going back. There is literally, you believe that, and so now you become that. And that is the energy of Pisces. Pisces is represented by the Kemetic goddess Nut, or goddess mother of the sky, mother of the universal planes and the heavenly bodies. And this is also why Pisces is such a strong spiritual sign, because it is literally the point at which you are returning from the underworld and coming back to that Aries energy, or that energy of I am. So now you have just gone through all of those phases, and you have become these energies. You have experienced every one of these different personalities or behaviors in order to transition into the 13th sign, or you, the master of all. And just like that sun that's up in that sky goes through each of these signs, you and your vessel and your being go through them as well, starting at the point at which you were born. From your solar return and back, that is you transitioning through all of these phases. The 12 disciplines, the 12 disciples, the 12 decants, or the 12 zodiac signs, each representing the 4 elements of this plane, existing in 3 different beings: mind, body, and spirit. Feminine, masculine, child. And just as we experience these changes as individuals, we also experience them as a multiverse, or as a collective. Outfit change. Now we're going to talk about the 36 decans or decans, which are basically just amplified versions or detailed versions of the 12 major zodiacs. They are the 36 minor zodiacs making up the 48 total constellations or stars. A 360-degree circle divided by 36 give you 10 degrees or 10 extra days, meaning that each of the 36 decans remains in that sign for 10 days or 10 degrees. Now, while these decans or these 36 constellations have their individual names, for the sake of simplicity in this video, we will only be describing them based off of their energy, not their names. If you would like to know each decan's name in specific, just look up 36 decans, and where I have each of the signs, fill in their names. So you may look at this and be like, oh my goodness, what is going on? But it's very simple. Remember that you have 12 major zodiac signs multiplied by 3. The energy of the 3 is the mind, body, and soul, masculine, feminine, and child, and also the electric, magnetic, and electromagnetic. Now, 12 multiplied by 3 gives you 36. 36 deacons, or the 36 minor stars. 36 plus 12 gives you 48 constellations or stars total. Alright, so here we have our 12 major zodiac signs, and each zodiac sign is divided with 3 deacons. These 3 deacons have their own names, however, we're just going to be talking about their energies. So Aries season lasts over the period of 30 days. During those first 30 days, this will hold the energy of Aries acting as an Aries. Days 11 through 20 will be Aries acting as a Leo. You would then go to the next sign of that element. Right now we are discussing the fire signs because Aries is a fire sign. Days 21 to 30 would be Aries acting as a Sagittarius. So yes, these all hold the energy of the major constellation Aries. However, they are their own diluted versions. See, an Aries that is acting as an Aries will have that very strong head forward leadership energy. An Aries acting as a Leo would be very courageous with their creativity and very head forward. An Aries acting as a Sagittarius would be very protective and very fiery about their leadership energy, about their ability to initiate things. They still hold the leadership energy of the Aries, they are just expressed in different forms. The same goes with everything else around the wheel. You have the Taurus sign acting as a true Taurus, a Taurus acting as a Virgo, and a Taurus acting as a Capricorn. You would follow these signs in order. Let's go to the next fire sign for an example. You have Leo, which the first days 1 through 10 would be Leo acting as Leo. Then days 11 through 20 would be Leo acting as Sagittarius. Next would be Leo acting as Aries. It is still Leo, it is just being expressed as a true Leo, a Leo expressed as a Sagittarius, and a Leo expressed as an Aries. You follow this course all throughout until you get back to the beginning. Now this may make sense as to why someone's sun sign may be an Aries, however they give more of a Leo vibe. If they were born in Aries between days 11 and 20, they would be an Aries acting as a Leo. Kind of cool, right? That just shows you that energy is everything and everything is energy. So while you may be one thing, you can express yourself as something else. Now, just as the 12 major zodiacs are assigned to a Kemetic god and goddesses, the 36 deacons are as well. If you would like more information, just search up the 36 deacons and how they correlate to the Kemetic gods and goddesses. Also note that there are other ways to do this. However, I find that this system is easiest, basically because you are already introduced to the elements. Once you're introduced to the zodiac signs, you now just can go a little bit more into detail when you're talking about the deacons, making it a little bit less confusing. So let me come over here and show you something a little cool. Okay, so you have your 48 total constellations. 4 plus 8 gives you 12. 12 can be broken down into 3 and 4. 3 represents a open system, 4 represents a closed. 3 plus 4 equals 7. 7 represents a complete circle or a complete cycle. Look at it like this. You have 4 different seasons representing the 4 closed systems. You have 3 different open systems in those 4 systems. So in your winter season, you have 3 different segments of energy. 3 open energy segments. And if y'all have seen my video where I told you that 1 plus 1 is 3 and 3 is equivalent to the 1, you will see that this 1 segment still equals the energy of the 3. Because 3 is always an open system, meaning that it is a cycle. You have 1, 2, 3. 1 representing the energy of I am. 2 representing the energy of I build. 3 representing the energy of I have or I am. Once again, coming back. It's a cycle. Now we're going to jump into our discussion of the houses. But before I do that, I want to just do a quick recap. The planets describe what aspect of the energy is being presented. Is it through your ego? Is it through your shadow? Is it through your power? The zodiac represents how energy is being expressed. Is it being expressed through how you feel, through what you create, through what you have, through what you are? The houses represent what aspect of your being is being reformed by this energy. What area of your life is this participating in? Is it through your family? Is it through your public life or your career? Is it through your community? Let's jump into it. So just like you have 4 seasons, 4 elements, you have 4 different versions of houses. Keep in mind that each of the 4 closed systems have 3 open systems within it. So these 4 groups of houses have 3 areas where they are being revealed, and it is based on the energy of the element that correlates to it. You have the house of life, which correlates to the energy of fire or the season of summer. You have the house of wealth, which correlates to the element earth or the energy of spring. You have the house of endings, which correlate to the element water or the season of winter. And you have the house of relationships, which correlates to the element air and the season of fall. Starting with the house of life, this describes the energy just like fire, the energy of coming back from a destructive pattern or a transformative period and now creating something new. It is represented by the fire signs Leo, Sagittarius, and Aries. Aries ruling house number 1, the house of self, the house of I am. It is in this house that you see things expressed when it comes to yourself, when it comes to you as a whole being. The next house in the house of life is the house of creativity, house 5. This is where we see your ability to generate something for yourself based on everything that you've already been given. You're going to bring about life from your being. That's why this house is ruled by Leo. It is that energy of taking something and creating something new. Next is the house of faith. This is represented by the sign of Sagittarius. You may see a lot of transformations here when it comes to your religious beliefs, when it comes to the things that you put your faith into, when it comes to the things that you seek in this realm. Jumping into the house of wealth, represented by the earth element. Your first one would be house number 2, represented by the sign of Taurus. This energy stems at I have. What do you have in your finances? What are your values? What are your morals? Because that is where that energy is going to be expressed. For example, if you have your Aquarius in the 2nd house, you may really value your philosophical beliefs, value what you know, and that is shown through the 2nd house energy. Next is the house of routines. This energy appears in the activities that you do repeatedly, things that you make habitual or that you make a part of your routine. This is where that energy might show up in the 6th house. The last house of wealth that we'll be talking about is house number 10, which deals with your public life and your career. This is where energy is expressed through how hard you work, how much you put into your outward perception of yourself. It is represented by the energy of Capricorn, and Capricorn is all about I utilize the energy around me to be able to gain knowledge or experiences to generate the wisdom that I need. That is what house number 10 entails. How do you utilize your wealth to change your public life or your career? Next, we're going to cover the house of relationships. Now, these houses deal with the energy of air energy. They deal with the energy of thought as well as communion. The first one is house number 3, which deals with the energy of communication. It is represented by the sign of Gemini. Energy in this house will be expressed through how you speak to people, the things that you do to network or to market yourself. Next is house number 7, or the house of connections. This is ruled by the sign Libra, which deals with the energy of I unite. So this house deals with how do you unite your energies to the energies around you? How do you utilize your relationships? Energy will be expressed here through the connections that you have with the energy around you. Next is the house of community, represented by the sign Aquarius. Aquarius are the ones that I know. I know the things that I have around me. I know the energy that I have around me. And so this house basically correlates to the aspects of your life that deal with the energy that you have around you, be it from society, be it from your village, your soul tribe, the community that you have around you. The last group of houses that we will be covering is the houses of endings, dealing with the element of water. Before things can be reborn again, they have to go through the portal of water, because water represents the different endings and beginning of different energies in this realm. The first house of endings is house 4, which deals with home and family. This area of your life deals with transformation in the home as well as with the family that you have created for yourself, be it your soul tribe or be it your offsprings. Think about this. If you don't have your home in order, how can you go out and begin a new chapter in the world? The home is where the energy of self ends. Next is house 8, which represents the house of transformation. This correlates to the zodiac Scorpio, or the energy of IC. The house of transformation basically represents the energy of how do you allow the endings, the chapters closing, the new cycles appearing, how does that affect your energy? Because that is the area that this is expressed. This is expressed through how you combat the things that come to a close, the things that turn one energy into another. And the last of all the houses, the last of the houses of endings is house number 12, which is represented by the energy of Pisces. I believe. This is expressed through the aspect of your fears. And remember that fears are just false evidence appearing real. These are the areas of your life that you feel as if they are so real, but they're not. They're just simply the things that you believe are real, and they kind of are obstacles that keep you from achieving the things that you need to achieve. They keep you from going into that next cycle, the cycle coming back to the first house of life. Not only is it important to know the energy that is being expressed, or the things that the energy is flowing through, the planets and the zodiac, it is also equally important to know the houses, because you need to know where that energy is going, what area is that energy being expressed in. And that is exactly what the houses describe. The houses also correlate to where the zodiacs may feel the most strongest. Hey, I'm glad you made it to the end. I literally appreciate you for staying to the end of this video and for enjoying all of this good information. And yes, it may seem like it was a lot of information in the video. However, always remember that everything correlates to one thing, and that is the wholeness of this universe of you. Ashe boo.